Gold and rare earth mining is polluting rivers across Southeast Asia, putting communities that depend on these waterways at risk. A new study warns toxic runoff is spreading downstream and is calling for urgent action against illegal mining. A heavy price to pay for parts of mainland Southeast Asia. Soaring demand for gold and rare earths coupled with regional weakness in regulation and governance, all leading to dangerous pollution in the Irrawaddy Basin and the Mekong that are critical lifelines for tens of millions of people. That is the warning from a Washington-based think tank, also behind an interactive dashboard providing satellite imagery of damage already done. The Stimson Center pointing to rapid expansion in the last decade, with more than 2,400 sites where unregulated mining takes place for the extraction of both precious metals and rare earths. Spanning 6 countries across Southeast Asia, vital waterways are under threat. Of that 2,400 sites, nearly 800 unregulated mines operate along the Mekong River. Lax regulations, poor governance and corruption turning those 3 nations into mining hotspots. For Myanmar, these mines are either in Kachin or Shan State, where the military government, which led a coup in 2021, has fragmented, certainly contested control. Of the close to 1,900 sites of illegal mining in Myanmar, at least 549 use what's called in situ leaching to extract rare earths, a process that uses less energy but a great deal of contaminants, but releasing a great deal of contaminants and using a great deal of water. And pollution flows downstream from Myanmar to Thailand, from Laos to Vietnam and Cambodia. Experts warn that toxic chemicals such as arsenic, cyanide and mercury and heavy metals could wipe out farmland and entire ecosystems. And from all this, we're joined by Regan Kwan. He's research analyst from the Southeast Asia Program and the Energy, Water and Sustainability Program from the Stimson Center itself. And he's joining us live from Arlington, Virginia. Mr. Kwan, you are, in fact, managing data for this interactive dashboard. So you would be the person to speak to on this report, which, and I quote,
correct,
refers to the unbridled manner in which hazardous mining activity has expanded over the last decade in mainland Southeast Asia.
That is correct. Specifically talking about rare earth mining in mainland Southeast Asia, it's grown rapidly, as you noted, over the past decade, broadly starting in Kachin State in northern Myanmar, but then more recently over the past 3 or 4 years, into parts of the Mekong River Basin in Shan State in eastern Myanmar and northeastern Laos as well. A lot of this growth is due in part to increasing demand for critical minerals.
Okay, in part, the other part, and it's a very big part, there is demand, but the supply is provided by what's happening in the region, both within countries and across boundaries of countries.
That is correct. The rare earth industry itself globally is processed and refined through China. They are the only country that has the refining capabilities at scale to do anything with the amount of supply that is being imported into China from Myanmar and Laos. And that is driving a lot of this demand for more mines in the region.
Why we're seeing this growth within Southeast Asia is because what used to take place within Chinese boundaries illegally in the south of China, that has, for various reasons, which you could explain to us now, moved out of China into Myanmar, across different parts of Myanmar, and in 2022, following issues within Myanmar, into Laos.
That is correct. What is called in situ leaching, which is the form of rare earth mining that we currently see in Myanmar and Laos, originated and was developed within China to extract their own rare earth elements. However, through this, as you described, unbridled expansion of mines domestically, there was a lot of environmental issues that exploded, and the Chinese domestic industry had to be restrained the Chinese government decided to enact stricter environmental regulations. They cracked down on illegal and unregulated mines, and they consolidated the domestic market into 6 state-owned enterprises. That pushed out a lot of actors, usually who were focused on the smuggling side due to existing export controls within China, pushed them out to other places where it was ungovernable or less governed, such as Kachin State, where they started off about a decade ago, and now they've started to expand into Shan State and northeastern Laos due to a lot of uncertainty as it relates to the 2021 coup and then conflict within Kachin State.
All right, Mr. Kwan, as we pointed out, this method, in situ leaching, which is the mining of 4 rare earths, it takes less energy, but the cost is enormous in terms of pollution as well as water used. Someone invariably has to pay the environmental price, and it's those who are least able to push back that will end up paying that price.
That's correct. What you're describing is what's called a sacrifice zone. These are areas in which we as society have deemed as a place that we can sacrifice for the greater good, and in this case for extractives like rare earth elements. And this is having detrimental effect to downstream communities, as well as the environment and the ecology surrounding the mines and downstream of the mines.
In this instance, the greater good, those who are most affected are not able to spell out what for them might be the greater good.
That is correct. If we consider what are some options, a lot of these mines are owned and operated, at least on the top level, by Chinese nationals who have the management and technical skills to run these mines, but there's zero profit and zero buy-in from local communities who are affected by this directly. If we consider what would be a potential solution to this is we need to open the concept of local ownership, because local ownership could potentially lead to stricter environmental mitigation efforts to ensure that, if there were any contamination, that it would be under control.
A final question, Mr. Kwan. We move beyond, we can improve local governance. In principle, we could. But moving beyond local governance, ultimately, extraction remains the larger problem.
That is correct. We seem to incentivize more and more extractive methods to collect and rare earth elements. Yet we need to consider that this isn't the only solution that's possible. We have to look at alternatives, not only in method. We could look at bioleaching and other types of biomining techniques. But we also need to consider other options like e-waste recovery and tailing recovery through the byproducts of existing mines. We cannot keep opening new mines to collect and extract more minerals. We need to look at what we already have existing, and we need to incentivize and then socialize those concepts. And we need to incur the cost as kind of the end users of these products. A lot of the electronics that we use contain some of the elements that are being mined in Myanmar and Laos. And we need to know that, and we need to accept the cost that comes with that, if that even means increasing the cost.
Oh, thanks. Reagan Kwan there. That's this man who is providing hard data on a collection within the Simpson Center in terms of the impact of illegal mining in mainland Southeast Asia. Thanks for joining us this evening.